Guest at this time provides the biggest edge that any team could possibly have. There is only one world. There is only one world's best hockey player. There is only one Sidney Crosby. Yo, Sid, where'd all these goals come from? 44, including 10 in your last 14. You've certainly had an eye for goal this year.
Yeah, I don't have a great explanation. It worked out that way. Got a good start, so I think that helps. It gives you confidence when you're able to, put some in early. And I think just as far as the power play too, was able to kind of find spots in and around the net, and I was happy to see it go in.
What about these two line mates, Sheary and Gensel? How are they different or similar to some of your previous line mates?
Well, I think speed's a big thing. I think that we try to play with a lot of speed. Those guys, are really fast skaters. They're hard on pucks. They create turnovers. So I think similar to guys I played with before. Cooney and Duper were probably two guys I played with a lot that did similar things in the way that they were able to dig out loose pucks and put teams back with their speed, and usually that's how you force turnovers. So you get the other team to make mistakes and hopefully capitalize on them.
It had to happen sometime, buddy, but what's it like being the old guy on the line?
Yeah, it's a little different, but they're great players. They're guys that have a ton of energy, and you can tell every day they're into it and they want to learn. So I think we just try to communicate as much as possible and try to get to know them. But I think that so far it's been pretty good.
Well, let's stay with that communication thing. What's the communication like with Gensel and Sheary? You can be demanding and certainly specific with your line mates on how you want them to play. How do those guys handle that?
That's a nice way of putting it, huh?
I think so.
I think that the biggest thing is just trying to learn as much as you can, and especially early on when plays happen or they make certain plays. I think I'm probably one to ask a lot of questions and see what they see, what they like to do. That just helps me as far as trying to read off of them. And if there's anything that I see, or you play against certain guys over the years, guys that maybe they're not familiar with playing against, things like that. There's things that you can kind of tell them and try to read off one another. So a lot of communication, probably the most from me, but they've done a good job of just kind of trying to learn as a group, and we've been able to have success.
Do they ever tell you to shut up, and do you think they'd like to?
I'm sure they'd love to, but they're pretty good. They're patient, and like I said, they've gone out there and executed, and like I said, we've done a pretty good job of being consistent. So that's the biggest thing.
How's Gino looking at practice? He didn't forget how to play, did he?
He looks really good. It's always tough, late in the year like that when you're dealing with an injury and being able to come back and time frame and all that. But he looks really good, and when you're hurt, it's not fun. But also there's kind of an element of rest too that you get. So I'm sure he'll be ready to go.
You mentioned the power play before, and Gino certainly adds a lot to that unit. How happy are you with the way the power play produced this year? Third in the league, very consistent. I think it's one of the best power plays you've been on since you started your NHL career.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is consistency. We had a bit of a lull there, I think, probably midway through, but for the most part, that's going to be such a difference maker in games. Special teams, but especially if our power play can step up and chip in with a goal or two, it's huge. So I think we just it's something we constantly work on. We've got a lot of different elements on it. We've got guys who can shoot and make plays, and guys who go hard to the net and create things there with traffic and rebounds and stuff. So I think there's a lot of different things, and obviously Schulte stepping in with Tanger being out. He's done a great job. That's not easy to kind of quarterback everything, and he did a great job too. So I think a lot of different elements, but that's what we want to be, is just unpredictable out there, and I think we did a pretty good job of that.
What's it like for you with no Tanger? Forget the power play, Sid, but he plays behind you a lot 5-on-5 as well. Does that change the way you play at all, maybe having to come back a bit further for the puck?
I don't know. I think the biggest thing is just he's he carries the puck and he controls a lot of the game when he's out there. So I think just not necessarily, getting used to seeing him, probably up near the fourth. He's a D-man, but, a lot of times he'd end up in the zone with the puck, or at least kind of supporting the rush pretty tight. And there's not many guys who can play like that and get back and play defense too. So probably just had to get used to not seeing him up there all the time. That was the biggest thing. And guys who had to play different minutes, probably more minutes in general. I think the whole D-corps, just with all the defensemen that were out. But he's a guy who lugs a lot of minutes. I think everybody just tried to chip in, and they've done a really good job back there with all the guys that have been in and out.
What's this series with Columbus going to be like, Sid? You split the series during the regular season, and they play an extremely physical and calculating style.
Yeah, they're a good checking team. They're big. Like you said, they like to play a physical game. So, we'd expect them to, put a lot of pucks deep, try to grind us as far as finishing hits and wearing us down that way. So, we've just got to make sure that we execute, we use our speed, and I expect it to be a pretty tight series. I think both teams want to play fast, but we're probably kind of the lesser of the two when it comes to the physical play, and we'll try to use our speed and our skill and try to get out of our zone as quick as we can.
I'm sure you'll be out there a lot against the always delightful Brandon Dubinsky, who's no fun to play against. What's the most important thing for you to do or remember when you play against a guy like that, who plays the way he does against you?
Yeah, I think, there's always those matchups, and, I think with guys that are trying to be physical and trying to finish every hit and play closely to you, I think you just got to be ready to compete. Sometimes with defensemen, you're able to kind of get away from that matchup a little bit more than when it's a center you're going against every face-off and things like that. But for the most part, I think if you just have it in your mind that you're going to go out there and compete, and the biggest thing is you don't want to change much. I mean, you start changing things and you're a step behind, or you're not reacting quite as quick. So I think just go out there ready to compete, and that's probably the biggest thing.
We're talking to Penguins captain Sidney Crosby here on the home of the Penguins, 105.9 The X. Sid, how do you feel now physically? Because you certainly haven't had much of a break since the start of last season.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. I mean, it was nice to get the last game off. I mean, being in that position, and that helps when you're able to get.
You hated that, didn't you? You hated sitting that game.
You know what? I didn't mind this after all the hockey we played. It's nice to get the home ice, and then to know where you're going to be. So we were in a different spot a couple of years ago where we were. I think our last game we had to win in Buffalo there to get into the playoffs. So it's nice to be in that position. Nice to be able to give guys rest. And with all the hockey that we've played here the last couple of years, a couple of days off was great, and excited to get going now.
You work harder than anybody I've seen. Will you ever slow that down? Are you approaching a time, Sid, when rest will help you more than extra work, or are you just not wired to slow down?
Yeah, no, I think I've even come a long way even from earlier on, just managing that. I think that when you're out there, definitely going to work and spend time and kind of learn and do as much as I can, and then there's always time where you need to rest and take care of yourself too. So I think that I've gotten better at managing that, and I think it's just with every year you kind of learn more and more, and you're in different situations and you see how you react and how your body is. So I think when I'm out there, it's pretty hard just to go 50%, but there are times where you just got to take days off, and I think that's gotten better.
A year later, as the playoffs begin again, how much does that second Stanley Cup mean to you? Because a lot of guys win one cup. 2 cups seems a lot more than one, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it changes a lot. It's nice that experience is fresh, and I think the thing is when you look back to last year, you tend to kind of remember all the great things, all the big wins, and you don't necessarily remember kind of the tough situations. And when it's fresh, though, I think that you can learn from those and understand that the playoffs aren't easy, and as great as it was, and everything didn't go perfect. So I think just being able to remind yourself of that and knowing and expecting that the playoffs are a grind and being ready for that. When it's a little bit more fresh, I think it's easier. So, I think that mentally, I think that's something we can take heading into this series here.
Now, you have never been consumed by stats or individual awards. Given that, what do you see as your single biggest individual accomplishment? No cups, no gold medals, no team. Your single biggest individual accomplishment.
Geez, you put me on the spot here. I don't know.
Well, no, it says a lot that you don't have a ready answer because I know you're, like I said, not consumed by stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, maybe at 19 when I got 120 points, I think that was, being a young player and, I was able to actually get a full season. I want to say I played close to 82 games, so that was, that's been kind of a rare thing for me lately. But I think maybe that just being a second year player and being able to to produce like that was a pretty good year.
Good answer. Now with the 2 cups, you get compared to Mario once in a while. You see the story, so do I. What's your take on that? You got to get a kick out of that at some level.
Oh, I don't see the stories, but
well, they're out there. Trust me.
Okay. I don't really ever try to. I don't know that I have high expectations, but I don't think I'll ever. I won't ever be at that level. But I think that just the expectations that I have, and every year you want to win. That's what it comes down to. And I think if that brings the best out of you, if that gets my best, then I can live with that. So that's all I try to worry about. But he's on another level. He's on his own level, and if I get anywhere close to that, I'll be happy.
Well, you're pretty close. How would you play against Mario? I say make him work, make him keep up, maybe whack him behind the play. What would you do, Sid?
Listen, I watched, so I think that there wasn't really a way you could stop him, but if I had to, back then I feel like everyone shadowed guys. It wasn't rare to see someone in his back pocket all the time, and that was just the way you played against guys. So I'd have to say the old school shadow would have to be the way I'd go about it.
Hey, Connor McDavid's going to be in his first Stanley Cup playoff, which is going to be interesting. Him and the Oilers taking their first shot. When you see that, I know you don't have a lot of time to consider that situation, but it's kind of like you guys back in 2007, I think.
Yeah, it's similar. It is similar. I think the way that they finished the season too. They probably even played better than we did through that stretch, but and the fact that they're a young team, a lot of guys kind of in their first playoffs, but they're a team that I think with the way they play, with the speed that they have, they're dangerous. And I feel like when I look back to that Ottawa team, they were on another level that we probably weren't at that point. But I'm not sure if I see the same thing with Edmonton and San Jose. They're tightly matched teams, and we'll see what happens.
Now, before we wrap this up, do you have any big, shocking personal revelation to make?
No, nothing for you.
Okay, I didn't think so. I just feel the need to throw that out there. Are you ever going to not hate talking about yourself?
Probably not.
Okay, fair enough. One final question. You're going to be 30 this summer. Even worse, I'm going to be 57. Do you find yourself wondering where the time goes?
I do. Actually, just before I called you, I was thinking about that. I felt like it was not too long ago. I had called you last year talking about the playoffs, and I think it cut out at that point. But I was trying to think about just how fast this goes by and how fast the season has gone. Maybe the fact that we played so many games, and as far as tight period of time, but it seems like every year just goes faster and faster. So it's scary. It's scary to think that time's gone by this quickly, but this time of year is what you play for, and this is always the best time of year.
Sid, this has been great, as always. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see you Wednesday night.
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot.
That is the great Sidney Crosby, the captain on Perel, and the best player in the world.